Helen Marrow was a quiet librarian in Grayford, Ohio, until the night she vanished without a trace. Her bicycle was left standing by a lamppost, her apartment door unlocked, and a cup of tea still warm on the table. What seemed like an ordinary evening became the start of one of the most chilling mysteries in American history, one that spread far beyond Grayford and carried with it the same haunting warning. 2 simple words: not safe. Helen Marrow was not the kind of person you would expect to become the subject of one of the strangest mysteries in American history. She was a quiet librarian in the small town of Grayford, Ohio, known for her neat handwriting, her love of history books, and her predictable daily routine. She biked to work, returned home at the same time each evening, and rarely missed her favorite Sunday church service. But on the evening of September 14, 1979, her ordinary routine was broken forever. At sunset, Helen left the library as usual. She was seen pedaling her bicycle down Elm Street, heading toward her small white house just 6 blocks away. Multiple witnesses saw her pass the corner store and wave to a neighbor, but somewhere between the store and her home, she vanished. Later that night, her bicycle was found standing against a lamppost on the corner of Elm and Willow. It wasn't knocked over, it wasn't damaged. It was simply resting upright, as if placed there with care. The chain was still warm, suggesting it had been ridden only moments earlier. But Helen was nowhere to be found. When investigators searched her home, the scene only deepened the mystery. Her shoes were neatly placed by the door. Her purse sat untouched on the counter. On the table was a cup of tea, still steaming. To anyone looking in, it appeared as though Helen had planned to come home, sit down, and relax after work. But instead, she was gone, vanished in the few hundred feet between the lamppost and her front door. Detective Samuel Greer was called to lead the investigation, with Sheriff Walter Briggs overseeing. At first, they treated it like a typical missing persons case. Maybe Helen had run off. Maybe she'd been abducted quickly by someone in a passing car. But within days, that theory collapsed. The first strange letter arrived exactly 1 week later. It was found in the locked mailbox of the Grayford police station. The envelope was addressed in Helen's unmistakable cursive handwriting. Inside was a single note, carrying only 2 words: not safe. The message was disturbing enough, but how it arrived was even stranger. The envelope bore no stamp, no postmark, and no fingerprints. It had not gone through the postal service. Somehow, it had been placed inside the locked mailbox overnight. The department quickly changed the locks, thinking maybe someone had a key. But the following week, another note appeared. Then another. Always the same words. Always Helen's handwriting. Weeks passed, and the letters kept coming. The police brought in a handwriting expert, Dr. Evelyn Clark, who confirmed beyond any doubt that the writing matched Helen's. But if Helen had truly written them, where was she? And if she hadn't, who had the skill to mimic her handwriting so perfectly? Nearly a year later, the case took an even darker turn. A group of workers clearing an abandoned farmhouse on the edge of town discovered a hidden basement. Inside were shelves filled with tape recorders and dozens of cassettes. Each cassette was labeled with a date. When detectives played the tapes, they heard something deeply unsettling. Every tape began with heavy, distorted breathing. Then came faint scratching sounds, like fingernails dragging across a surface. Then silence. No voices, no clues, just breathing and scratching. The dates on the cassettes matched the exact days the letters had been delivered to the police station. Even more disturbing was the final tape. Written on its label were the words, Helen Marrow. When investigators played it, all they heard was static. The farmhouse discovery spread panic through Grayford. Locals whispered that someone in town had been behind Helen's disappearance all along. Some feared a stalker had targeted her, while others believed the case was tied to something bigger, perhaps even a cult. Sheriff Briggs kept much of the evidence locked away, fearing a media frenzy would overwhelm the small town. For almost a decade, the trail ran cold. Then, in the late 1980s, the pattern began to resurface. In Indiana, a schoolteacher named Margaret Dean locked up her classroom and never made it home. Her handbag was found neatly placed on her desk, as though she had carefully set it there before vanishing. In Michigan, a nurse named Carol Whitman disappeared during a night shift. Her keys and ID badge were stacked neatly at her station, her half-finished notes still on the desk. And in Illinois, a factory worker named Thomas Riley went missing during lunch. His lunchbox sat unopened on a bench. In every case, cryptic notes appeared afterward. Each bore the same message Helen's letters had carried: not safe. And in each case, the handwriting matched Helen's exactly. The FBI was eventually called in. They gathered the letters, the tapes, and the reports from 3 different states. They examined the paper, the ink, the pressure of the handwriting. Forensic experts were baffled. While the writing matched Helen's, tiny details suggested it wasn't all from the same person. It was as if multiple people were imitating her exact style, but with almost supernatural accuracy. Investigators followed countless leads. Some suspected a single serial predator, someone who staged scenes to confuse police. Others believed in a secret group or cult passing down methods from one member to the next. A more chilling theory suggested Helen herself had orchestrated her disappearance, recruiting others to carry on her legacy. Despite years of searching, no solid suspects ever emerged. The tapes, the letters, and the staged belongings are still locked away in evidence rooms, gathering dust. But the story didn't end there. Even decades later, reports of the same handwriting continued to surface. A missing woman in Kentucky, a college student in Pennsylvania. In each case, investigators received the same eerie warning: not safe. Each time, the handwriting matched Helen's. For the families of the victims, the mystery remains unbearable. No bodies have ever been found. No arrests have ever been made. And no one has ever explained how Helen's handwriting kept appearing long after her disappearance. To this day, Grayford is haunted by what happened. Some believe the case proves the work of a meticulous serial offender. Others think it was a chain of copycat crimes, fueled by urban legend. And some whisper that Helen never vanished at all, that she slipped into the shadows, creating a mystery designed to live on forever. Whatever the truth may be, the story of Helen Marrow and the chilling words she left behind remain one of the most baffling, unsolved mysteries in American history. A bicycle left at a lamppost, a stack of blank tapes, and two haunting words carved into the memory of investigators: not safe.